Breakthrough Sports, live on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060 KDUS. We're broadcasting live from the great sports bar, Twin Peaks, located at 2135 East Camelback Road in Phoenix. I'm Dave Isaac alongside Greg, who is now announcing another winner, and the hockey guru from Boston who now lives in Phoenix, Rick. And we're really excited right now to have a very special guest, one who I think is going to be making major contributions in the area of concussion prevention, I'll call it. Scott Peters, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dave. Good to be here.
This is great. So appreciative that you're here in person at Twin Peaks. By the way, how do you like Twin Peaks?
It's good. It's great little scenery here.
Yeah, that's we love it too, actually. But it is a great place. So tell us a little bit about your background. Former NFL offensive lineman, many different teams. So bring us up to date on that and to what is safe football.
Great. Yeah, so I played 7 years professional in the NFL, and after playing college at Arizona State, played offensive line. It's a position that most people wouldn't have the first idea how to teach it.
Oh, sure.
It's just contact. So, how do you? Oh, you're pretty big. Get over there and hit that guy. That's kind of.
There's a lot more skill involved.
There is, but unfortunately, the information is lacking there. So, and a lot of times in the past, we've always kind of coaches said, just fire out, with your face, and then lead with your face, and they call it hat then hands. A lot of different expressions.
Oh, wow.
Or button press. You're hitting with your head first, and then you're using your hands and then your hips. So we found that really, you don't ever move a man on the line of scrimmage with your head. It just doesn't work.
No, I don't.
I don't think you move furniture around the house with your head, do you?
No. Usually, if I'm in a fight, I slam someone with my head into their fist.
There you go.
No, I'm just kidding.
So it's just not an efficient, not a real optimal way to do things.
Yeah.
But we've been doing it like this forever. So, I retired from the NFL, and before I did, I started doing jiu-jitsu and some martial arts.
Right?
Brazilian jiu-jitsu, yeah.
Good stuff.
Submission wrestling and a lot of different martial arts type, martial
UFC
arts.
UFC type of stuff?
Yeah, just I didn't need any extra head hits, so I opted out of that. But I learned a ton and really had to become an expert because I had a business and started competing in that. But what I found that was really ironic and interesting at the same time was you have little guys, small guys, I'm talking half my size, twice my age, could just put me in the worst spots possible.
Oh, really?
And I'm a 300-pound NFL lineman, so these guys were pretty incredible, the power they could generate. So I started looking at the mechanics, and then we applied those similar mechanics to football objectives, and what we came up with was a better way to play, a more performance-oriented way to play. So you can have better control, more power, but the best part is you don't use your head. Mm-hmm. And so we started, in 2012, I got hired by the University of Washington to go up there, train their coaches and players. They came back, and obviously the coaches loved it, the players loved it, their performance, they had their top offensive production in school history. But then the trainer called me, and she said, we can't believe it. This is the first time in our school's history that we had 0 concussions and 0 stingers, neck injuries.
Wow.
Yeah. So needless to say, I sold my gym and decided to kind of make this a purpose of mine to go out there and help kids to share this information. So we do work with NFL teams and college teams. They're highly performance oriented, but at the end of the day, the byproduct of that is safety. You extract the head, and that's the key here. Nobody has come up with a cure for concussion or CTE, and there's we can't look at helmets; those don't work.
And it's quite controversial and big time. Not only the health, but financial is costing the NFL pretty penny too.
Oh yeah, well there's always going to be that. There's going to be litigation, but what we need to do is prevent. You said it. I mean, no one talks about that. We think, well, let's wait till someone comes out with a pill. Well, you can keep waiting, but we need to
not going to happen.
Wait a long time. We're going to stop hitting over their heads. It's simple.
So tell us, can you share how that would work for? Is it just for offensive linemen, or the whole team?
It's everybody. So it's really
how
contact.
does that work?
Yeah. So we teach from the ground up a progression and very detailed progression, teaching progressions and drills. So to develop this, to do this the right way, you have to expedite. You have to teach people exactly what to do. You got to put them in the right postures, and then you got to let them work within their body's mechanics. And we go against body's mechanics. In football, if you watch MMA, for instance, you're never going to see a guy in the UFC run around with his head out in front. He's going to get knocked out.
For sure.
In football, we're doing it all the time. We're out of control, and our heads are out in front.
That's true, actually.
It's really not a good position of the body. I'm being really general here because it's hard to explain but without demonstrating.
No, I hear you, though.
But, you look at mechanics and you go, well, look at a wrestler, like a suplex. Well, he's not leaning over his body. He's lifting with his hips. He's using his strength, his power.
Leverage, right?
Leverage, yeah. And leverage is a funny word. People can, if you ask a football coach, I would ask 10 football coaches what is leverage.
Idea.
They have no idea.
Right.
Or they're going to tell you a different answer. And, I'm not looking for a definition. I'm looking for what are the key ingredients to leverage. So we do a lot to define that for people because at the end of the day, the NFL coaches that we work with, very smart men. But there's not a lot of information in terms of technique. And let's face it, the NFL is an audition. It's not a developmental league at all.
Right.
You get out, that was my first experience there.
Oh, wow.
I kind of thought, oh, great, NFL, great coaches, best coaches in the world. Let's get I can't wait to learn. Well, they go, all right, next, you get in there, and then you audition. And if you make it past day one, you get to go to day two and so on. But it's really on you to develop yourself. And there's many restrictions at that level, too, where with the collective bargaining agreement, you can't even work with the players for the most part outside of the season. So it's like, so where are people being developed if not the NFL, right? Well, college, right? Not really, right. Because they get 2 weeks in the offseason to work with the players. The NCAA restricts them.
Is that right?
Yeah. So what do? They send you to the weight room. Bigger, faster, fatter, stronger. That's the deal. That's the development model that we've put forth for football.
And not a good model.
No, not really, because what happens when you get two big guys that are big, fast, strong, and then they don't have any skill, then they run at each other. Well, they're going to have big impacts, and then you're going to have bigger injuries, of course. So we have kind of put the cart before the horse. We don't look at football from a skill. Contact is a skill, and it's almost like we just look at it like, well, how big are you and how fast and strong are you? Like, look at the combine. That's a joke.
Yeah.
And it's size and strength. It's all. Those are attributes, but we want to talk about skills, and that's what's going to really save the game.
That's a show for the NFL to make money.
It is. It's entertaining.
But it's good.
Are you getting any resistance from traditional old-time football coaches? Or
you get some meatheads out there, but at the end of the day, they can't argue that this is better. We've never had anybody to say that this wasn't better. We've 100%. We work from youth to the NFL, and every one of them, every coach we've ever had has said, yeah, this is better. Now, you get a little skepticism, of course, up front. What's safe football? And I'm like, well, let's not confuse this with soft football. This is not soft. This is absolutely keeps the game's integrity and the physicality intact, and it's something that I think everybody can adopt because of the performance end of that. If we're not pushing safety as much as we are performance, but safety is a byproduct.
So it's really jiu-jitsu principles, it sounds like, applied to technique in various positions in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, it's a simplified way to look at it. The thing is, I wouldn't tell someone to just join a jiu-jitsu gym and learn how to play football.
Well,
we know both
you're
sides.
The translator.
Exactly.
It makes sense to me.
And there's a lot of guys that get hired by NFL teams that are martial arts experts. But they don't,
really?
Yeah, a lot of teams will do that. They'll bring in a guy that's does a hand specialist, but. And I've been on teams that have had those. I was with the Carolina Panthers, and they hired a guy who was a Filipino knife fighting expert, right?
Knife fighting?
Yeah, right. So I'm going, this may not be good, right? Well, he came in, and we were working. He had these sticks, so it wasn't knives. But
oh, my gosh.
What did that translate to? A bunch of guys, a bunch of overgrown adolescents hitting each other with sticks.
Exactly.
But they didn't carry over into anything that we could it wasn't transferable to the field. So, from my standpoint, is I've got a good look at both. I've been in the martial arts for a long time. I've got a long time in football, so I can see both sides of the fence and really can find that sweet spot to merge the two and figure out how do we take some of these concepts and apply them to football, which has really been tremendously it's been revolutionary in a lot of ways. We're starting to see how the game is changing because of these subtle techniques.
And let's see. You're going to Baltimore, I think.
We're going to Indianapolis. Going to the
Indianapolis.
Colts. Yeah, and then we'll be going to the Cleveland Browns, and then we're going to the Washington Redskins.
Any competitors taking this on and saying, "Hey, we could"?
Not that I know of. I mean, it's we don't. We're always open to that. I think we're trying to more teach people how to think as opposed to what to think.
Yeah.
And we expect. I kind of figured we would have some competition, but it's really just a new emerging idea because everybody's so focused on the wrong things, and that's where we want to refocus people.
It totally makes sense. In fact, ever hear of neuro-linguistic programming?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a master practitioner in NLP. Wow. And their basis for starting versus the old traditional models, let's say in medical field.
Right.
The old medical field and currently, they look at disease.
Right.
These guys, NLP looks at health.
Exactly.
It's a starting point that is complete opposite.
Right.
And this is what you're doing.
It's like saying, you want to look at what you want, right? What do you want?
Exactly.
And instead of what you don't want. And that's what we're saying, too. We're saying this is how you play. And by the way, the byproduct is good. It's good because you're going to play better and you're going to take your head out. You don't need to go back and get an MRI and get some doctor to give you pills. Come on. Like, we need to figure out there are no cures for this kind of stuff. So there is a prevention, and that's key. And we need to look at that as a society more than anything, right?
I think that's brilliant. I mean, I love exactly what you said. Look at what you want rather than what you don't want. That's a pure NLP concept.
Right.
Have you ever taken
I haven't, but I'm familiar with I research a lot about the brain. I like to know what I've done to myself.
Yeah, it's really fantastic what you're doing.
You know, I mean, the NFL needs this for marketing.
Right.
Because this has to be brought there. I mean, they need to sponsor this. They need to embrace it, and they need to bring it down to the kid Pop Warner level. And it starts there.
Well, that's a huge point you made because, you go around and see some of the youth football leagues out
brutal.
there. It's amazing that they haven't crashed upon, with underneath their own weight.
Exactly.
Because these guys, some of these dads that are out there, they shouldn't, first of all, even be around kids,
Amen.
And I'm not joking.
Amen.
We go out, and it's unfortunate because it's not about the kids, it's about them. And that's what I see.
You're living vicariously.
Yes,
Yeah.
they are.
And it's sad because, at the end of the day, youth sports, youth, it's not just football. There are other sports that are taking a dip a little bit, and you get kids that are less active anymore. We're trying to promote football. But we're not promoting what we did in the past. That would be insanity. I don't want to tell some kid to run out there and hit his head and do a stupid drill like Oklahoma drill. You guys have heard of that stuff, or bull in the ring.
They did it all the time.
We did it all the time, and it's kind of like, oh, this is great. But then you go, well, where does this apply on the field? It doesn't. There is no application. It's the collisions, frankly, I was surprised when I got to the NFL because we do these crazy drills. In college, and then I've done them in a couple in the NFL too, but in high school where you just line up and let's just kind of beat the hell out of the guy across from you, right? But it's not applicable. Then you get into a game situation, you go, the collisions aren't even that hard. I mean, I'm not saying there aren't, but there's a lot of reactive stuff going on. Remember, I played offensive line, so I'm dealing with the defensive linemen, linebackers, but when you face a linebacker, they have to read, is it a pass play? Is it a run play? But if you define the play for them, you say, this is a run play, what are they going to do? They're going to run full speed at you, and there's a massive collision. But in real football, it's not like that. It's accountability to the scheme. And so where we do these nonsense drills, it's like just convincing people of that. I mean, they don't know what they don't know. And it's nothing against them. So there's a lot of great coaches, too, at the youth level, and I don't want to paint everybody as bad, but it's those people that are really ruining it.
They're living their lives over again in the image of the – How about now, educate me here. Look at some of the cornerback or some of the strong safeties that are out there, and they're coming – you know how they hit.
Yep.
They're coming.
They're missiles.
I understand the leverage on the line.
Yep.
How do you do that when you're running full speed?
You can do it. We teach it a lot of times that they are just projectiles,
right.
And that's dangerous. And it's not, and it's dangerous, obviously, for the health and safety of the players, but it's dangerous for your career too if you want to keep playing. Because I'll tell you right now, guys that are out of control, they miss tackles. They're not as effective. So we're showing people a better method to be under better control. And we always tell people the game is about control, right? And everybody's out of control, but you can't control someone else if you're not in control of yourself. It's just a fact. So we teach people how to always be in an optimal position to move multi-directionally, to be able to transfer, deliver more force, but do it in a way that you can adapt to movement. But running and spearing people, you can't. So you see a lot of missed tackles, and guys in the NFL are superior athletes. Obviously, I mean, these guys are. I mean, if you consider the fact that, like I just said, that nobody's, the no fundamentals league. That's what the NFL can stand for, among other things. But you get these guys that come out there and they're just like projectiles, and they want to spear you. Well, that does work for some of the top guys in the world. The problem is the kids below are emulating that.
Right.
And that's not the best way to do things, frankly. And so we work with NFL players too, and people will say, hey, those guys, you should work with youth, which we do, because the NFL guys, it's too late. And I'm going to say, no, it's not too late for them. One thing about NFL players, you can say what you want about them, they're highly adaptive people. That's what it is, because you go from college to the NFL, that's like going from checkers to chess. It's a different ballgame. So how do you guys know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
People make that transition, either they do or they don't. It's about adaptation and how quickly can you change to your environment.
Especially if it can make longevity.
It's about performance and career. At the end of the day, guys they care about their body because they want to make sure they can sustain over time. That could mean millions of dollars for people. And you want your health, but guys are really competitive, so they're going to do anything that gives them a superior advantage, and that's kind of where they've adopted, say, football, our principles and our techniques. So we train a lot of those guys too.
You're like a coach's coach, right?
Well, we're trying to help these guys out a little bit.
Yeah.
We want to revisit the word coach too, because a lot of times people think a coach is a guy with a whistle and sits in an armchair and
yells,
throws stuff and yells at you.
Oh, Woody Hayes, we're talking.
We were
about
talking.
now.
Yeah, right. So look, that's what people kind of think it is, and then unfortunately, it's like you got to demonstrate. You got to be a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be a teacher.
That makes sense.
And we just talked about going after what you want as opposed to what you don't want.
Absolutely.
Because everybody can be a critic. That's the easiest thing in the world to be.
Oh, yeah.
Guys in the nosebleeds can go, hey, that guy sucks right there, right? But a real teacher can tell you what he wants, and a real coach anyway. I'll call him a teacher.
What's cool about this, though, is you get credibility. You were there. Okay, you're not like a ballet instructor saying this is where you got to do footwork. You played. You worked yourself up through youth football, high school.
Well, you know it. Yeah,
I've seen the problem, and
right.
Yes,
you've lived it.
Well, people closest to the problem are usually the ones that have the right solutions.
Yeah,
and I think
it makes sense.
Yeah, it seems like the people that are out there in the administrative types and people in the governing bodies, they always seem to screw everything up, right? So they're not close to the problem typically, and so that's our guys. All of our safe football instructors are former NFL players.
You need that because look at the low hits that are going on right now.
Yep.
I mean, you got to stop that.
You do, and let's face it. You can't make the game entirely safe, but can you make anything safe? You can make this.
You can make it safer, though.
You can mitigate the risk to a degree that it's palatable for everyone, and to understand that look, this is a good thing it can be very good for people.
Yeah, let me ask you this: if this technique, safe football, that you founded years ago, was implemented years ago. Guys like Junior Seau, other football players, what would happen?
Let me tell you what I think about that. So Junior Seau, we hear about tackling all the time, right? Tackling, it's a problem. Junior Seau made, I think he made like an average of like 10 tackles in a game in his career, right? So I'm just going to make up some numbers. 70 snaps on defense per game, 16 games a year plus preseason. I don't know. There's a lot of snaps, right? Yeah. Not every snap ends in a tackle. Junior Seau only made 10 tackles. But you know how many hits he hit to the head? So we focus on pre-tackle helmet contact. So I played center and guard. I hit every play. You're hitting every play. So if Junior Seau happens to get a tackle, he didn't just walk in there scot-free. He had to deal with guys like me. He's hitting me, disengages me, maybe gets involved with another guy, and then he's finally makes a tackle. Then he's on a pile and guys are spearing his head and stuff. Oh. So you got there is head contact that you can't control. That stuff when you get hit in the back of the head on the pile or you fall and hit your head. But those are things that are really not as common. But the pre-tackle helmet contact happens routinely. I've had so many concussions, and I didn't even know what a concussion was when I played.
Oh, you have?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look, you probably can't count them all.
Like if you've gotten in the pool, it's like you can't. You're going to get wet if you jump in the water. It's kind of like you play in the NFL or in college football. The way that we were doing this in the past,
and they didn't even know, right?
Well, they didn't. They never defined it, And that was where things got weird when they started defining what a concussion is, because it used to be, oh, you just got your bell rung, buddy. You're good. Just dust it off, get back in there. They'll say that. Yeah, you got dinged, or there's terminology that they would use to try to define but something less than a concussion. And I think that if you really look at symptomatically, the expression symptomatically, concussion is just a neurological change where your vision's blurred. So I'm sure more people have had concussions than they think.
Oh, I'm sure.
But we did it every play, Right. So
that is tough. How are you feeling? I mean, 7 years in the league.
That's a good question. You're like, what are you on borrowed time over here? No.
Yeah, no. I mean, you look great, by the way.
Thanks.
You look, you're alert, articulate, great shape.
I'm great.
But are you?
I'm great.
Any impact from playing?
It's hard to tell. The brain is so subjective. I mean, it's hard to tell. It's all your relative to your experience. So maybe. I mean, I don't know. You guys let me know if I start drooling on myself.
No, you're doing fine.
If you follow, there's a new. It's not a trend, but it's been in Europe. Microcurrent therapy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I have a good friend of mine who was on the show, ex-NHL hockey player.
Yeah.
Barry. He knows. He probably had maybe 20 concussions that he knows of in his 13-year NHL career.
Yeah.
Well, he's now using this technology to help NHL alumni in the area.
Oh, great.
Guys with existing, not just concussions, but any other injuries. They've connected it, and you can see the wavelengths don't pass through the brain.
Yes, the hemispheres don't connect.
Exactly.
So the neurons don't transfer across hemispheres. Exactly.
Right.
So if you have the synapses, all that stuff breaks and it scars. So when you look at we have to look at alternative medicine here, because quite frankly, the conventional side is they're not cutting it.
No.
Going and getting prescribed medicines and stuff, it's usually not good, and they don't have a lot of answers there. But they want to kind of own the space. Neurology, they want to own the space, and they want to say, well, this is our space. Concussions, right? Well, yeah, you guys are great at pointing out a problem, like I said before, but there aren't many solutions here. But some of the neurofeedback is really good. some of the biofeedback. There's different frequencies and sounds therapies you can do, and there's the biggest thing of all is called neuroplasticity. You guys heard of this?
Yes.
Your brain is basically plastic or pliable. It's in other words, it's like a muscle. So some people didn't have to get hit in the head to be dumb. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
If you stop thinking, things stop moving and progressing. So you got to challenge and activate your brain. Otherwise, you're going to deteriorate. So that's actively, I'm doing that. That's something I do all the time is thinking. It's a novel
important.
idea. Yeah. You start thinking and try to challenge your brain and grow it. And those are things that
it's promoting healing though. The microcurrent therapy.
Absolutely.
It is. I did it when I tore my bicep. Barry hooked me up, promoted my healing. I was playing golf 10 days after I had my bicep.
Oh, wow.
Because it was hooked up on here. But prior to the treatment, I would go on the head. It would relax my brain and promote healing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And there's so much stuff like that out there that's just not it's under the surface. You got to dig a little bit. But I recommend it. Many guys in the NFL do that because they are so in tune with, like, you got a sports car, you got a nice Ferrari, you're not going to put bad gas in it. You want to figure out how to keep this thing optimal. And there's a lot of things like that.
Yeah,
out
well,
there.
the AMA, you know what they want. They want prescriptions.
The AMA,
They're the
big
biggest,
pharma,
worst problem.
Big profit.
Don't get me started
companies.
on big drug companies.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm probably with you on this. And
well, they don't do much.
That could be another topic we could talk about.
Okay, so let me ask you this question: when you're watching a commercial. And they tell you that your eyes might start bleeding or something, right? Warning, your eyes might bleed.
Yeah,
so
here's all the side effects.
Right, but meanwhile, they just showed you playing tennis before that, laughing and having a good time. So when they do that, they change the tone. That goes under the subconscious mind, subliminally in the mind, and it starts to, and then there's something to the placebo effect. So what is this actually doing to people?
Right.
Well, you know what I think? I've seen a lot more commercials regarding cancer than I've ever seen. Hospitals that are experts. And all these drug things that bypass doctors, so you're supposed to tell the doctor. Now, somehow, repetition from an NLP standpoint, I wonder if
it changes physiological.
Well, also, I'm wondering if more people are getting cancer because they keep hearing this.
I know. I do agree with you 100%. That's hard to prove that to people, but there's quantum mechanics and things like that and physics. You go, hey, the brain is going to activate certain things, and if you believe – you are
it's
what
energy.
you think.
For example,
it's energy. 100%.
And if I said, don't think of a blue elephant, what do you think?
You're going to think of a blue elephant.
Exactly.
It's exactly right.
It's like, what are these people doing to us?
Fear. It's what it is.
It's
all fear-based stuff.
Big business.
And everybody.
I agree.
But I think you're 100% right. How is it legal? Now we're getting on a tangent here. How is it legal, though? For them to directly market to the patient and tell you to ask your doctor about it.
It's crazy.
Because this guy's got to pay rent, too, so he's like, oh, okay, well, I started out to try to
I don't know about this drug, but I'm sure the side effects are nothing.
I need the money, so we're going to sell it to him.
But some of the side effects could be fatal. It's like, are you kidding
why do
me?
I want that?
Hey, I started out with some indigestion. Now my eyes are going to bleed. My bowels are – come on.
Those are the best ones.
But then they got something for that if you got a problem with that. Right?
Yeah.
So
it's good to mix.
Where's going inward? Where's the mental aspect of improving and healing? I mean, there are mental aspects.
Well, the placebo effect is very real. It's huge.
I agree totally. And in fact, we'll have you on again, and I'll show you some studies in neurolinguistic programming talk about the
I'd love
placebo.
to hear about it, yeah.
It's fascinating, some of the books out with neurolinguistic programming. But this is most fascinating. Now, one last question is you hear these days, because of the concussions, moms and dads with, the little kids, they're afraid to get them in the Pop Warner or whatever to tackle football.
I'd be afraid, too.
Well, yeah, what would you tell them? I mean, a lot of people ask.
So people ask me, that's not a black and white yes or no answer to me. If I'm talking about my kid playing, I want to know that he has the physical ability to hold a helmet on his head.
Yeah.
Some of these kids can't even, they're like bobbleheads, and you're going out there, you got a developing brain, and you got a moron coaching you. So it's like, it's unbelievable. So we have to, a couple things. Number one, does he really want to play? If he wants to play, then I recommend you wait until he's got the physical abilities to at least have some body control. Can you get in a posture that works? Can you control yourself, your body, before you can control someone else, right? Then it's what you know and how skilled, and if you've developed a skill. So if you've been trained, if you learned safe football techniques, you've mastered, or you've even got to a high level or where you can do that, which is easy for kids to do.
Sure.
Then I support it. But I would not support it if you don't know, and I think that's where parents have to. That's hard. It's hard for them because they're navigating the landscape here. But we have stuff online. People can go to safefootball.org. Check out our stuff. We got videos. If they can't reach us and go to an actual training event, people can subscribe there and learn our techniques.
I appreciate it. So that's safefootball.org.
Yep.
And check this out. This is most interesting. We definitely want you on again.
Great.
This is invaluable. This is life or death situations, really, if you think about it. And Scott Peters, thank you so much. Is there a book coming out or anything?
Oh, no. We're taking it one step at a time, you know.
Yeah.
So, but,
well, Scott, thank you so much. And definitely we want you on again. You live here, though.
I do live here in Phoenix,
So this is perfect. And, let's take a break. We're up against a hard break right now. We're on NBC Sports Radio, broadcasting live from Twin Peaks, located at 2135 East Camelback Road. Come on down and enjoy the broadcast. We're going to have Michael Yo from Rick Bronson's House of Comedy, from tragedy to comedy.
Nice.
And
not the Wild Coach?
That's coming up right now.
Coach?
And we'll be back in, or I should say before or after this break.